changed the jungle from dangerous to deadly. Dense vegetation dwarfed the children as they hurried home along the familiar path. One of them stopped and waved at the trees. "Someone's up there. They can help get us home." The other child craned their neck and saw a man peeking behind the treetop branches. They called for him. His head rose from the branches, but it wasn't attached to a body. The children screamed and ran home. The disembodied head flew to a cackling woman who mocked the screaming children. Her long nails pet the head, her white fangs matched her eyes, and her long tongue almost touched the ground as she hunched forward, pursuing the children. The woman is Bali's queen of demons, Rangda, and this is Legends from the Pacific. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. This is Legends from the Pacific, Episode 7, Bali's Queen of Demons, Rangda. I am Kamuala Kaneshiro. Listeners, please send us your feedback by going to our website, legendsfromthepacific.com. Your feedback helps to improve our show, and your letter might be read during an episode. Later in this episode, your featured Hawaiian word, song, Mick Jagger, and Indiana Jones. But first, Rangda. Located in Southeast Asia, Bali is an Indonesian island east of Java. As of this recording, Indonesia is the world's largest Islamic country, but Bali is Indonesia's largest Hindu population, known as Balinese Hinduism. Balinese Hinduism is a combination of Hinduism, Buddhism, and animism. Incarnation is part of Balinese Hinduism, which makes it challenging to research Rangda. See, there are two women associated with Rangda. One was a 10th century East Javanese princess named Mahendradatta. The other was a woman named Calon Arang. Stories vary on if Rangda was an incarnation of them or they became Rangda, and sometimes their names are used interchangeably. But let's talk about the queen of demons, Rangda. Rangda is a witch who lives in the jungle and commands demons or liaks. The most common liak look like people during the day, but at night their heads sprout wings and fly from their bodies with their organs attached. Liaks and Rangda's favorite food are children or pregnant women. You know, this seems like a story to prevent children from wandering into the jungle, similar to how the bunyip, who was covered on a previous episode, was possibly used to prevent children from playing near watering holes. In some Balinese Hinduism writings, traditional notions of good and evil don't really exist, which is why Rangda has a protective power or force, and people receive her blessing by visiting her masks in temples. This protective aspect is similar to the Greek Gorgon Medusa. Medusa's image was etched onto things to protect an individual or their items. Rangda has been identified with the Hindu goddess Kali. Both share similar iconography. The colors associated with them are red, black, and white, and they're known for sticking their tongues out. Many listeners are familiar with Kali or Kali Ma from the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But in the 70s, Mick Jagger liked the look of Kali's tongue sticking and asked their designer, John Pash, to incorporate it in their logo. The Rolling Stones' iconic tongue and lips logo debuted on their album Sticky Fingers, and the rest is rock and roll history. Now, the first woman to identify with Rangda is Princess Mahendradatta. She was a powerful and feared woman who had a son, Erlangga, from a previous marriage, but it's unknown who his biological father was. Because of this, the princess was considered a widow, and the word for widow in Old Javanese is Rangda. So Rangda could mean widow or the queen of demons. Mahendradatta married King Udayana in what many consider to be a political marriage, but it's said she practiced witchcraft and promoted a cult to the Hindu goddess of war, Durga. This outraged her husband, the king, who exiled her to the jungle, where she lived childless and vowed revenge on the king and his court. So Mahendradatta was a powerful, feared widow witch queen who lived in the jungle. The second and more commonly known woman associated with Rangda is Calon Arang. During the 10th century, Calon Arang was a mother who practiced witchcraft and lived in the jungle with her beautiful daughter. Similar to Prince Erlanga, this child's biological father is unknown, which made Calon Arang a widow. Eventually, her daughter wished for a husband, but the village men rejected her. This upset Calon Arang, who would do anything to fulfill her daughter's wish. Still to come, your featured Hawaiian word and song, but now, a story. The following is a Legends from the Pacific original story and is based on cultural records. Calon Arang used her book to complete the incantation and grinned at the tied-up, crying girl. The Hindu goddess of war, Durga, appeared, and Calon Arang bowed. Durga ushered the girl into death's realm, then asked Calon what she wanted for her offering. Rage boiled Calon Arang's blood as she remembered how the villagers mistreated her beautiful daughter, who would cry herself to sleep, believing she wasn't good enough for a husband. But Calon Arang knew it was she, the witch, the villagers were afraid of. She hated being the cause of her daughter's misery and wanted to end this frustration once and for all. A tear fell from the mother's eye as she realized what needed to be done and asked Durga for vengeance upon the villagers. Durga complied. The mother closed her book, and their dealings concluded until the next time. Durga unleashed a flood that consumed the land, and a plague followed. The king learned of Calon Arang's vengeance and called his advisor, Empu Bharata, to handle the situation. Empu Bharata tasked his disciple to marry the witch's daughter. His disciple agreed, and the daughter got her husband. Calon Arang was thrilled to see her daughter so happy and held a 7-day feast. After the feast, the disciple found Calon's book and learned it was the source of her power. He took the book to his master, Empu Bharata, who realized the witch was weak without it. Empu Bharata confronted Calon Arang and asked her to change her ways. She refused, and the two fought. But without her book, Calon Arang was defeated. Empu Bharata knew the witch would always be a threat. He killed her. A tear fell from the mother's eye as she died. Her daughter grieved while everyone said her mother's death was the only solution. The daughter agreed and began the life she wanted, crafted by her mother. Coming up is your featured Hawaiian word and song. Listeners, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and share Legends from the Pacific with your friends on social media. As stated earlier, it's common for Rangda, Mahendradatta, and Calon Arang's stories to mix. Today, the Queen of Demons Rangda has been commercialized by Bali's tourism industry. Commercial Rangda masks provide income for woodworkers, while sacred ones are reserved for rituals and temples. A picture of a commercial mask, courtesy of Jake Carlsmark, is posted on our website for you to view. Some of Bali's popular non-eat, pray, love tourist attractions are performances about Calon Arang becoming the queen of demons Rangda, then being defeated by the king of spirits Barong. Barong is a lion-like creature and enemy of Rangda. So Calon Arang's fight against Mahendradatta is a representation of Rangda and Barong. The different Barong lion dances are native to Indonesian culture, came from China or the Middle East, and predate Hindus' influence. While these shows are performed throughout Bali, traditional ones occur annually during a full moon in graveyards or temples. I wanted to point out Barong's role as a lion, chasing away or defeating Rangda, is similar to Chinese lion dancing, which was covered on a previous episode. One last thing. Many view the Queen of Demons Rangda as a symbol of fierce, independent womanhood. Like Wicked's reinterpretation of The Wizard of Oz, scholars have sympathized with Rangda and reinterpreted her as a victim. I applied this while writing this week's closing story and focused on a mother's love for her daughter. If you like what you heard, I strive for 5 stars, so please rate us, write a review, and share Legends from the Pacific with your friends and family. I'd really appreciate it. Our theme song is Mystery by Tavana, courtesy of High Sessions. Sound effects were by Sound Effects Factory. Our music coordinator is Matt Duffy, aka DJ Triple Bypass. Links and show notes can be found on our website, legendsfromthepacific.com, including a link to your featured song, which is What They Got by Aaron Smith, courtesy of High Sessions. Your featured Hawaiian word is makuahine. Makuahine is Hawaiian for mother. Once again, makuahine means mother. Legends from the Pacific was written, produced, and edited by me, Kamuela Kanashiro. I also wrote our original stories. Thank you once again for listening. Mahalo and a hui ho.
Pushing my